Hey, are you looking for a single-player game that will take you... Hey, are you looking for a single-player game that will take you a decent amount of time to complete? Well, we've got you covered with this list of 2021 single-player games with decent length, in no particular order. And it's also worth pointing out that some of these games aren't just like the regular games you've heard about all year. We wanted to also use this list as an opportunity to talk about some games we haven't mentioned enough. So keep in mind to set expectations. A lot of these games aren't like Skyrim level endless open worlds, but here we went with personal experience, online opinions, and howlongtobeat.com for references, and these should satisfy you. Anyway, let's get started off with number 10. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 is a game you may not have heard of or really had on your radar, but it should take you around 25 hours. Now, we're going to mention it many times in this video. A lot of that time depends on what type of player you are, if you're mainlining everything, or if you're really exploring and not skipping cutscenes and checking out side quests. And interestingly enough, Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 takes what the previous Sherlock Holmes games did and really kind of turns it on its head and adds an open world, which doesn't seem like it makes sense for a Sherlock Holmes game, but here you do have the opportunity to really explore, find clues, get engaged with this world, and find some pretty engaging side quests. It's one of those games where it has side quests that you're actually going to want to check out. This is a younger Sherlock Holmes. They're going for like a different vibe here. It's him in his earlier days exploring a Mediterranean island and city of Cordona, and he's a bit more of a badass. The combat's a little weird, but still these Sherlock Holmes games are massively underrated and pretty cool, and if you're looking for an interesting new one to jump in with, it's this one, Chapter 1. Now, next over at number 9, let's talk Far Cry 6. This one is a little bit more of one of the obvious ones on the list because it's a Far Cry game. It's a massive open world riddled with side quests, things to collect, things to do, and your time can vary, but you know, ultimately, when you're in a Far Cry game, you're going to spend a lot of time. The average time to beat for this game is around 35 hours, but you can easily squeeze a lot more out of that just because Yara is a pretty interesting tropical location with a big city, tons of different little areas. Granted, it's all a tropical setting, but they managed to vary it up here and there, and it's worth checking out. Personally, we said it in our Before You Buy video, I found Far Cry 6 to be a lot more fun than Far Cry 5 or Far Cry New Dawn, which a lot of people forgot about. This one is possibly worth checking out, especially if you've been burnt out on the Far Cry formula for a while. This one might be fun enough to get you back into it. Now for number 8, we have Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, a game on consoles, but I think is best played on PC. The average time to beat this thing is around 120 hours if you're doing the main quests and most of the side quests, which you'll probably do, and you'll probably grind through a lot of it because the game can get pretty challenging, and that's where some of the length lies. But where the true length really comes from is the fact that it's just one of those big-ass isometric RPGs. Think a Divinity Original Sin type thing. If you've played that, you know what you're getting into here. You're getting massive worlds, tons of interesting dialogue, fun side quests to pursue, different ways to build your character, stuff to find. There's just a lot of cool stuff in this game, the gameplay aside, just design-wise and looks-wise and arts-wise. If you like big old fantasy RPGs and you like them a little bit more independent, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is definitely worth checking out, especially for the fact that it'll keep you busy for quite a while. Probably the most out of any of the games on this list. Now, next over at number 7, we have Shin Megami Tensei 5, a game which, admittedly, we haven't highlighted enough on game ranks throughout 2021, but the average time to beat this one is around 63 hours. Shin Megami Tensei 5 really embraces being on new hardware and just kind of makes everything feel bigger and better, and a lot of that length just comes from that good old-fashioned JRPG gameplay, which to some people is just truly comfort food, and the, you know, obviously very different Tokyo they have here is a really good setting for exploration. These games have a very unique spin on them, especially if you've played the Persona games, but you've never played the Shin Megami Tensei games. You're probably going to find a lot to